Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're shifting focus a little bit, turning the lens inward, you might say.
Yeah, moving away from the big picture stuff, maybe.
Exactly. We're looking at something really personal, kind of quiet, but incredibly powerful: photography.
But not the glossy magazine kind, right? Or the stuff you scroll past online.
No, not that at all. We're talking about the photos you take, just for you, the ones that might never see the light of day.
Mm-hmm. And we've been digging into some insights from an artist, also a digital media professional, who has this really interesting take. He sees photography as, well, much more than just pointing and shooting.
Right. It's about embedding memory, isn't it? Capturing emotion, holding on to these unspoken messages.
That's the core of it.
So our mission for this deep dive is really to unpack that idea. Photography not just as a record, like this is what I saw, but as something deeply personal, almost like, well, the source calls them letters you never send.
I love that phrase,
Yeah.
letters you never sent.
Me too. And we'll explore why maybe the technically imperfect photos, the blurry ones, the dark ones, can sometimes be the most meaningful.
And how looking at your own photo library, on your phone or wherever, looking at it differently might reveal these hidden stories about yourself.
It's about finding something profound in just that everyday click of the shutter.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into that central idea then. Photography as silent sentences.
Right. The concept is when words fail you, maybe. When you can't quite articulate a feeling or what's happening.
You reach for the camera instead.
Exactly. Think about it. Almost every personal photo you take, it's a kind of message. Maybe it's just for you to remember something later.
Or trying to say something about that specific moment.
Or even just trying to bottle up a feeling, so you can maybe feel it again down the line.
They really are these letters you never sent. And what's really key here, I think, is the intention. It's not about getting the perfect exposure or, the rule of thirds.
No, who cares if it's a bit blurry or the lighting's off?
Right. It's more like you're creating this piece of emotional shorthand, like a diary entry, but visual, written with light and shadow.
Yeah, totally. And think about those images, maybe on your phone right now or in an old box, photos that mean the world to you, but someone else might just scroll past.
Like maybe a sunset photo that instantly makes you think of a specific person.
Or an empty chair that just screams absence, Or even like a blurry street photo from a time when everything felt kind of chaotic.
Yeah, those aren't for Instagram, are they? They're private. Anchors to something internal.
Exactly.
And it makes you stop and think, okay, for a photo you've taken, one maybe nobody else has ever seen, what were you really trying to hold on to? What was the unspoken thing?
Which brings up this fascinating contrast, doesn't it, between memory and the camera.
Oh, yeah. We tend to think of the camera as this, objective truth teller, perfect record.
But our memories, they're anything but perfect.
No kidding. Memory is, well, the source described it as film soaked in time.
I like that.
Yeah, it's overexposed in parts, grainy, maybe beautiful, because it's flawed, not perfectly sharp. It's not a factual replay.
And that's so important when we're talking about personal photography. The goal usually isn't objective reality. It's about preserving the feeling.
How you saw it, how you felt being there.
Exactly. How the world looked through your eyes in that instant.
And here's where it gets really interesting, I think. The source makes this point that some of the most powerful personal photos are, well, technically kind of bad.
Right. Out of focus, maybe underexposed, the framing's a bit weird.
But emotionally?
Oh, emotionally, they're razor sharp. They hit you right here.
Yeah. They cut through everything else and just deliver that feeling.
And that really flips our whole idea of a good photo, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Especially for personal stuff.
It makes you question what we actually value. Is it the technical perfection, or is it the emotional honesty?
It seems like for these unsent letters, the emotional truth wins out. Every time.
Which takes us deeper into that concept. There's a specific story shared about this, about photos as unsent letters, and it's quite moving.
Ah, the train station photo.
That's the one. Tell us about that.
Well, the story goes, someone took a photo of a train station, just the station itself. It was the day someone really important to them had left.
And there were no big goodbyes, no dramatic scene.
No, nothing like that. Just this quiet moment of raising the camera, clicking the shutter, standing there.
And that photo became the letter.
Exactly. It wasn't for the person who left. It was for the person taking the photo. A private way to process it all.
A way to acknowledge something huge that maybe felt too difficult to say out loud, like a kind of quiet closure.
And that's how so many of these personal photos work, right? They can be unspoken confessions, maybe, or while declarations just to ourselves or to a memory.
Visual echoes, maybe, of who we used to be or moments that really changed things.
They hold so much weight, even if they're never shared.
And speaking of people who really live this idea, the artist whose perspective we're drawing on, Somkiat Saelek. Let's talk a bit about him.
Right, Somkiat. He's an artist and photographer based in London, Ontario now.
Originally from Bangkok, Thailand, been in Canada about 2 years.
Yeah, that's right. And he comes with this really impressive background in digital media, like over 15 years. Apparently one of the top people in Thailand in that field.
Wow. And he's added to that here, too. Graduated from a pre-media program at Fanshawe College recently. Even worked on some local stuff like the I Am London 2024 campaign.
Right. And he puts this whole idea of photography as personal memory into practice with a project he calls SKYDIARY.
SKYDIARY. Okay, tell me more.
It's essentially a photo collection where he's looking for meaning in nature, specifically by taking pictures of the sky.
Just pictures of clouds and sky.
Well, yes, but it's meticulous. He notes the exact date, the time, the place for every single shot.
Huh. Okay, so the data matters. It's not just random snaps.
Definitely not random. And these photos aren't just, filed away. They become creative works in themselves, but also, crucially, they're inspiration for his painting.
So he uses the sky photos to paint from.
Yeah, onto paper, canvas, other materials. It's this process of directly linking that visual record, what the sky looked like, to his own emotions, his feelings about the landscape, the moment. It turns observation into, tangible expression.
That's a fantastic example, taking that simple daily act of noticing the sky and turning it into this deep personal record and artistic fuel.
Absolutely. It shows how powerful this approach can be.
And this brings it right back around to you, listening to this. This whole idea of photography as memory, as these unsent letters, it's not just for artists or digital media experts.
No, not at all. It's for anyone with a camera, basically.
Yeah.
Anyone with a phone.
Think about your own photos, seriously. The ones in old albums, maybe shoved in a shoebox somewhere, or just lost in the endless scroll on your phone.
The invitation here is to try looking at them differently. Not just as, oh yeah, that was that party, or there's Aunt Carol.
But see them as these letters you wrote, maybe to yourself, maybe intended subconsciously for someone else.
And ask yourself, who is this really for? What was I trying to say or hold on to when I pressed that button, even if I didn't quite know it then?
Yeah. And the source even suggests maybe taking that step. It might feel brave, but actually sending one.
Not blasting it on social media.
No, sending it privately. Directly to the person who inspired it, maybe?
Or perhaps it just means revisiting it yourself, sending it back to a past version of you as a reminder. What mattered then? What was I feeling?
It's a powerful thought.
It really is.
So wrapping up this deep dive, I think the main takeaway is just how much more photography can be than we often think. It's not just pictures.
It can be memory made solid, poetry without words, a quiet confession, a private declaration. It's this incredibly personal form of expression.
And importantly, not every photo needs an audience to be meaningful.
Not at all. Every photo means something to someone, even if, maybe especially if, that someone is just you.
So we really want to encourage you, maybe sometime soon, just take a few minutes. Scroll through your photos, find one that just stops you. Maybe it's technically awful.
Doesn't matter.
Right, one that stirs something. And just sit with it. Let it speak to you. Let it be that letter you never sent.
And maybe leave you with this final thought. If photography really can capture feeling, capture experience, more so than just objective reality, what does that actually mean for how we document our own lives? Especially the important moments.
Are we chasing the perfect-looking image? Or are we trying to capture something more authentic? The real emotion of it all.
Something to think about next time you pull out your phone or camera.